Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former roommates
And they were roommates.
talk about a new movie every week. But this week on the show, we're talking Oscar nominees, or at least potential Oscar nominees. As always, I'm your host, Korbin Zvokel, and joining me today is my co-host, Kody Webb. Kody, how are we doing?
Doing pretty good, yeah. Please is what, episode 9?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we went a different direction this week, doing something different, a little bit out there. But yeah, very excited. It's gonna be a fun episode, and we have a great guest, so I'm very excited.
Yeah. And so what we're doing is we're playing a new game I invented. And to do that, we brought on a guest, the great Carter Sims, a co-host of the Cut Retrospective. Carter, how are you? And are you excited for this game?
First of all, I've never been called the great Carter Sims, so thank you for that. Much appreciated. I'm doing great. Happy to be on the podcast, finally joining the self-coined compadres in person here for the first time. So now we are one, and I'm excited. This game is wacky and was really hard and way up my alley. So I'm super amped, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Carter, I know you're a big Oscars guy. So tell me, what is your specific relation? Do you watch the Oscars every year? Do you really study the trade books, the betting? What do you think about when it comes to nominations and who's going to win?
I do watch the Oscars every year for better or worse. Sometimes they're really fun and sometimes they're really not fun. Shout out Anne Hathaway and James Franco for hosting that one year. That was fun. But I do watch every year, and usually Jackson and I are co-host of the Rough Cut Retrospective. We usually bet like $5 against each other, and we see who gets all the winners right on the night of, and we do like this whole thing. This is probably the most I've ever dove into Oscars this early on, as we'll probably talk about here. But I'm obsessed with the Oscars and Oscars history, so I am psyched for what we're going to do today.
Now, I've heard that you're doing something related to watching Oscar nominated films. Is that correct?
Oh, baby. Yes. You've either listened to Jackson or listened to the podcast. Yes. I've had a mission for quite some time to watch every film ever nominated for an Oscar. And boy, I'm not close.
Any category, right?
Any category. I started a long time ago. I was like, oh, there can't be that many I haven't seen. Totally wrong. There's a bunch I haven't seen. And I stopped in 1970 because I was like, I can't go back any further. This is ridiculous. So now the list is 4,000 movies long. So it's not going to be ended anytime soon. And, it's something I'll chase for the rest of my life. But yeah, you got to have dreams, right?
Yeah, it's always funny when I'll see on your letterbox sometimes a random 9-minute short animated film, and it's like, why is this dude from 1972? And it's just like, why is he watching this? But
on a slow day, you just got to throw up a 6-minute Disney short film, and then you feel good, you feel accomplished. You've watched a movie for that day.
Oh yeah,
so to speak. So that's my mission.
I would say Kody and I's relation to the Oscars is probably pretty similar. We don't necessarily watch them every year. I definitely have watched them in my life. But the past few years, definitely being in college, on a Sunday night, you got homework, or we work Sunday nights, or we've got games, IM games that we got to go play. Something seems to always be going on, so we don't catch them. But I definitely pay attention to who the nominees are, who wins. Not as much in 2020, but I remember 2019 being a really big year where I'd watched all the Best Picture nominees and I was really into it. Kody, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say 100%. I think last year was the first year I missed the Oscars as a whole in a while. I'd sort of gotten into it, watched probably 4 years in a row. But yeah, I feel like just sort of the COVID year, I sort of just missed it. I was like, oh, the Oscars were on last night. Dang, I missed that. Yeah, it's definitely something I feel like you can get into super easily, especially if you invest yourself and just go watch some of the obvious nominees. But yeah, I'm a big fan as well. Maybe not as big as Carter, obviously. Haven't seen, the majority of the nominees over the past 10 years, but I've seen the important nominees. So yeah, this game I think is going to be interesting. Maybe Carter has the advantage off the bat just because of that.
Hell no.
Call me the underdog, but I'm going to try and make some interesting picks here. Yeah.
I love it.
that is the question. Is Carter's his extra preparation prior to this and watching all these nominations going to give him an edge?
Nope.
You know, the thing is, I'll explain what the game is right now. So what we're doing is we've taken the majority of the major Oscar categories. There's some that we've not included intentionally. So what we're going to do is I'll list out the categories now. So we're going to pick a movie for each of the categories. And the categories we're using are best makeup and hairstyling, best production design, best costume design, best sound editing, best visual effects, best editing, best original score, best cinematography, best animated feature film, best screenplay, best adapted screenplay, best director, best supporting actor, best supporting actress, best actor, best actress, and best picture. The way the game works, however, is that for each of these categories, when you select a movie, so hypothetically, you know, the great film Black Widow came out a few months ago, and I think Black Widow is going to win Best Picture. So if I take Black Widow in Best Picture, it cannot be used in another category by me. It can be used by the other participants in any category they choose. But once I use Black Widow in Best Picture, I can't take ScarJo for Best Actress or Florence Pugh for Best Supporting. On top of that, for Best Actor, Actress, and Picture, we are going to be choosing 2 movies. So this all totals out to 20 total films. So each person is going to have 20 unique films that they think potentially could get nominated for an Oscar. What makes this hard is that when you have a real nominations and you look at it, if a movie's nominated for Best Picture, it's at least nominated for 3-4 other categories, usually cinematography, director, screenplay. So you see a lot of overlap in the nominations, and what we're having here right now is no overlap. There's a good chance that we probably don't get a lot of these right, but that's the fun of it. I can say that on February 8th, 2022, we will know who the winner of this game is. So maybe we'll have a reunion pod to talk some smack or something, come back in February. But
I love that.
That's the game. And you guys have anything else to add to that before we get started?
Yeah, I would say also what makes this game extremely, extremely difficult, and we need to, stress as well, is none of these movies have come out.
True.
Yes.
The number of movies that have come out on my list, I believe, is 3 out of 20. So I just want to stress again, I haven't seen any of these movies. So they could all be absolutely, horrific and just be terrible, terrible movies. Yeah, they are on my list and I have confidence in them. But yeah, I did want to stress that as well.
Yeah, there's 2 caveats there. First of all, Kody has seen like maybe 3 movies that have come out this year, period, if that. Carter and I have seen about 40 that have come out in 2021. But I would imagine that doesn't really have a load of bearing on our actual lists. For me, I think it's 4 movies. But the whole reason I created this game and wanted to play this game is because I think that with, COVID last year and a lot of movies being pushed back and just kind of the general slate of movies that are coming up, I think there's a lot of really great and exciting films coming out this year. And I figured we could kind of use this as a way to like, hey, in October, November, December, like here are the movies that you should be on the lookout for, put on your radar. Use this, to tell people listening, here's good movies, and also just have a little bit of fun playing a game.
I love it. I love games. I love the Oscars. I love you guys. Let's do it.
A little friendly competition here. All right. So we're going to start.
For the Academy, here are the films that made the greatest impact this year.
In the order that I listed them. So we're going to start with best makeup and hairstyling. And Carter, your name comes first alphabetically. So hit us with your best makeup and hairstyling pick.
Huge. For best makeup and hairstyling, I went with The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which is the first of movies that we haven't seen that isn't out. But I've looked at the images of Jessica Chastain as Tammy Faye, and I'm like, that's sick makeup. That's sick hairstyling. Andrew Garfield's attractive. I went with that one for sure. And I know nothing really about this movie. I don't know who Tammy Faye is. She's like a religious broadcaster or something. Know nothing about the movie, but if you put like a gallon of makeup and prosthetics on your face, odds are you're going to get nominated for best makeup and hairstyling. So that's why I went here.
I mean, if you have the word eyes in your title, then, there's probably going to be a little focus on the eyes, got to get a little makeup in. It's probably going to be important. So I don't know too much about that movie either, but
nor do I.
I think it could be a pick there. Kody, what about you?
Yeah, interestingly enough, I also picked a movie that has Andrew Garfield in it. But it is actually Tick Tick Boom. The whatever his name is, Lin-Manuel Miranda. Is that how you say it?
Don't say that in front of Carter.
Wow. Got my Hamilton poster over here off screen. That's tough.
No, I actually like him. His name's just hard to pronounce. I think it's his directorial debut. It looks to have great makeup and hairstyling. Also has Alexandra Shipp and Vanessa Hudgens. So a really fun cast. Obviously, it's more of a musical themed movie. But yeah, I also took a look at the trailer, and they had like just crazy makeup, crazy hairstyles. Not Andrew Garfield specifically, more towards the females. Yeah, it looked like a decent pick for makeup and hairstyling. I'm not gonna lie to you, this might be one of my lower tier picks. I waited last to do best makeup and hairstyling. And there weren't a ton of good movies to pick from, so this is more of a shot in the dark from me. But Tick Tick Boom, can't go wrong with Lin-Manuel Miranda, right? Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
see, I disagree with that. I am allergic to the work of Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I refuse to put this movie anywhere on my list.
Dude, not a big Mary Poppins
did-
Returns guy, huh?
No, I stay away from it all. I cannot be a part of it.
Right.
But I did see this movie come up on a lot of lists, and I just refuse to include that anywhere. Now, funny enough, you guys chose two movies with Andrew Garfield. I chose a movie featuring a ex of Andrew Garfield, one Emma Stone, with Cruella for best makeup and hairstyling. I originally had this in a different category that is probably pretty obvious when you think about the themes of the movie. But if you think about the way her look and her hair, it's very integral to the character. So I could see this is where Disney gets their nominations, these kind of categories. So I'm going Cruella here.
Very nice, very smooth.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one. Respect.
A movie I have seen, so chalk that up.
Yeah,
one movie that has come out. Hey.
I can attest to that. Good stuff.
All righty. We can go reverse order here, a little bit of a snake draft. So I'll get to start with best production design. This one, first of all, I didn't include it the first time I made this list, and then Carter was like, "Hey, are we doing this?" And I was like, shit. My bad.
I love a sick production design. What can I say?
That's true. And I struggled with this one. I think I changed it around a few times. I ended up going with Eternals, which I don't think is a good pick at the end of the day. But there's a lot of sweeping landscapes, a lot of Chloe Zhao is very particular about her production design and what is surrounding the image. There were some news articles that came out that said that all the landscapes and all the areas they were using were practical. They weren't going to do a lot of like visual effects for the actual backgrounds. So, I think that there could be, especially with a lot of historical settings throughout this movie, that Eternals could potentially, sneak into this category.
I like it. That's sneaky. I didn't think of that at all for production design, so I like it a lot.
Thank you. Cody, what do you got production design?
Yeah, I didn't think about Eternals at all. It's actually a decent pick. I went for a movie that has come out and one that I haven't seen actually. I went for The Green Knight. The trailer I did see in theaters, and
the trailer alone gotcha.
I mean, honestly,
I'm not gonna lie. The production design, just from that alone, it's unbelievable. The look of the Green Knight himself. I saw on Twitter something like it was just hours and hours of makeup and work every day. And the sets just look like super detailed. So yeah, I think The Green Knight should be the front runner, honestly. It did come out a little bit early to be Oscar bait, but I think it should definitely be nominated. If it doesn't win, I think it should be close. So yeah, I think that's a decent pick.
I see this as a movie that's going to get a lot of nominations, probably not a lot of wins, but I think it'll, especially these categories, that's production design, costume design, cinematography,
the technicals. Yeah.
Like, I think it is a very like technically impressive movie. But I don't know if it'll win a lot of these categories. Carter, what's your pick?
No love for Dev Patel.
I like the movie, but I'm just being honest.
Love Dev Patel.
Thank you.
I like some of the things that he does in this movie. Carter knows.
Oh, I know. Cody, you got to watch it just for one specific aspect of it. And I won't know what it is, but
bodily fluids of Devs.
Yeah. And it's not blood or spit. For my production design, I'm just going to segue really quickly off that topic. I went with The French Dispatch here for production design.
It began as a holiday. Eager to escape a bright future on the Great Plains, Arthur Howitzer Jr. transformed the series of travelogue columns into the French Dispatch, a factual weekly report on the subjects of world politics, the arts, high and low, and diverse stories of human interest.
I stan Wes Anderson's filmmaking. I love Wes Anderson, and he always has these crazily bizarre ways of shooting film, and his productions are always sick. I've really not seen anything except the trailer, but I think it's going to be pretty cool, and I think there's going to be a lot of technical things going on there in typical Wes Anderson fashion. And it was so hard to place French Dispatch on this list, so I was just like, let's put it here. This seems right.
It's another one that'll probably get nominated in a few different categories, but it didn't seem like there was like a good spot to put it. Like there was always a better choice.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good grab here in this category to get it on there. Cody, you like Wes Anderson?
I'm a fan. This was, I think, one of the tougher movies to place on the list because if you put it on too high of a category, you're just putting a lot of pressure on it to win something big. But then you're trying to scope out which are the other ones to put it in. So I think it'll be on all of our lists. It's just,
Definitely.
which one to put it in. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a good category for it.
For sure. And Carter, we're coming back to you with best costume design.
Amazing. You alluded to it earlier, probably an obvious pick here.
Yep.
A movie I have seen that I actually enjoyed quite a lot. I went with Cruella. And when I left the theater, I was like, that was like the Joker meets the Devil Wears Prada. So that
girl boss Joker.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the costumes were sick, and I actually enjoyed the movie more than I thought I was going to. So Cruella for best costume design, go Disney.
Yeah, I really did like this movie as well. I know Cody hasn't had a chance to check it out, but the whole plot of the movie is about her designing dresses and clothing. So if you don't have good costume design, then you've kind of failed the movie, right?
Yeah. It feels too obvious, but I'm not ashamed of the pick. So
my pick is going to be pretty obvious as well. But before we get there, Cody, what's your pick for this?
My pick is a lot less obvious, I think. This is not a category that I had some trouble with. I actually went for In the Heights, which is a movie that has come out. But the costumes sort of look like just like old timey, sort of a different era, you would say. And also it's a movie where they're dancing, they're singing. So they have to be legit material.
This is great.
I guarantee the In the Heights costumes are more durable than anything in Cruella or anything that Corbin's gonna pick. This is obviously a shot in the dark for me. I wanted to go somewhere different. I hadn't seen Cruella or a lot of other things, but In the Heights, it's been getting great reviews. It is having Oscar buzz, even though it's come out already. So yeah, I went for costume design. I think it's a category it could win.
Have you seen In the Heights, Cody?
I've not. No.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. I want to just keep track of how many of these you've seen.
I've seen it, but like from the previous categories, where my position is on that movie.
Your Lin-Manuel Miranda stance.
Exactly.
I'm supporting Lin-Manuel Miranda here, so
good
for you.
Corbin's outvoted here. I love it.
Next episode's Hamilton. We do the Disney plus Hamilton.
Fully sell out.
To finish up costume design, similar to Cruella, I chose a movie where the costume design is going to be very important to the plot. Specifically, it's a movie about a clothing company or the origins of a clothing company from Ridley Scott, House of Gucci. I mean, Gucci clothing, you got to have good clothing or it's not going to be, it just doesn't work. How can you have a Gucci movie without some Gucci? So I bet the budget on the costumes in this is huge, and it better come through for me.
That's a good pick.
So. That's a good pick. I have House of Gucci somewhere else down the line, but I think so. I think that's good.
Same.
This was so far, I'm sticking to where I was. So I made this list like 2 days ago. And then today, like in between classes, I was like frantically changing things around.
Yeah.
This one has stuck in its place since the very beginning. Cause I was like, this is an easy grab. I can fill in the other categories, other places.
Very nice.
Now we're going to move on to best sound. So the history of this category previously was two different categories. They had sound mixing and sound editing, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the past few years, they have finally combined it into one category about sound, which, makes a lot more sense because nobody really ever knew the difference between the two categories.
I was going to ask, did you know the difference? Because I certainly don't.
There, I'm a film major and you'd think I would know, but I couldn't tell you. But for best sound, again, very integral to the plot, a movie about sound, A Quiet Place Part 2.
Nice.
It was the first, its predecessor was nominated in this category, so I thought it might be a good grab here. And sound design is probably not as good as the first, or is not as important as the first one, or groundbreaking, but still plays a huge role, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like in the second one, there's definitely there's more different sounds than we got in the first one, at least. So it's got that going for it too.
Kody, what do you got?
Yeah, I also went for a movie sort of revolving around sound, making it, more of the upfront thing. It's called Coda, which I believe stands for Child of a Deaf Adult. It deals with family members who are deaf, and it does some really interesting things with its sound design and mixing. I think it's sort of an obvious candidate to win. I feel like if you actually have a movie surrounding sound in a sense, it has a pretty good chance. So yeah, I went for Coda. I think that's a sort of an obvious choice just based off of its material, but I think it's got a good chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, Sound of Metal won last year, very similar kind of circumstances, so for sure.
Nice. So I went kind of a different route with best sound.
Oh, okay.
You guys picked movies that definitely feel yes, sound is a very crucial part of the movie. I went kind of last, or in 2019 when Ford v Ferrari won both of them, I think, or something, and Bohemian Rhapsody, maybe, I don't remember whatever. Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't
It's definitely in there.
Yeah.
Cars.
Yeah. So I went in a similar vein where I picked an action-y movie. So I went for best sound, No Time to Die. I'm ready for some intense car noises. I'm ready for some gun sound mixing, punches, all of that jazz. I don't understand sound mixing or editing at all, but I know that guns and cars and fists make sound. So No Time to Die is my pick here.
Sound mixing is so underappreciated and so hard to do it adds so much to a movie, and especially in big action movies, it's really huge. So I like that pick a lot.
James Bond, he's got all the gadgets. They all make different sounds, so that makes sense.
You're not wrong.
All the fancy cars with their engines. It didn't even think about it.
Yeah, and hey, Rami Malek's in it, so maybe he'll I don't know, sing a Queen song real quick, and then we'll mix that up. That'll be great.
That would probably be better than whatever he does do in the movie. So
I'd like to see that, honestly.
Yeah. And then I'm going again, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Best visual effects.
Best visual effects. I went for a movie that we talked about already. I went for Eternals here. Because I have other movies that I think definitely are locked for visual effects, but I wanted them somewhere else. And this is where the hard part of this game came, moving a bunch of stuff around. I think what you said, Korbin, about Eternals having a massive production design, and I think the blending of the visual effects with it are going to make this movie pretty solid and feel real. And I think that is going to be very fun and very different from, say, your Spider-Man Far From Homes and things like that, where it's just all crazy CGI. So I think it's going to be a good balance, and that's why I picked that here.
That I like that pick a lot. I definitely was deciding between Eternals. That was there, yeah, for sure. Kody, what's your pick?
Oh, COVID boy. Yeah, I was basically between Eternals and my pick Dune.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sands, you can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known.
Eternals does have a bigger budget, I believe, of 200 mil, and Dune is around 160, 150, that area. So you do have me beat on money. But I think Chloe
Nice.
Zhao's Chloe Zhao, I think her visual style, sort of like Corbin was talking about earlier, she wants to go more practical. She doesn't want to lean on the CGI. Obviously it's a Marvel movie, so it's gonna have a ton of CGI. But I went for Dune. Just the trailers look visually very stunning. And it looks like a lot of CGI, more than Eternals maybe a little bit. But yeah, obviously on that sort of budget, any sort of movie is gonna have good visual effects. So I went for Dune instead.
Sick. Trailer is sick.
The trailer, I think Dune's the movie I'm most excited for out of all these movies.
Absolutely.
Big Denis Villeneuve guy. But yeah, what do you think about that, Corbin? What's your pick?
So I originally had a different Marvel movie here in Shang-Chi, which this is being recorded on September 2nd for the record. So that movie comes out tonight/tomorrow.
Nice.
But then I changed it to a movie that I had kind of forgotten that is supposed to come out this year. Also, that's another caveat of this game. Some of these movies might end up getting pushed to 2022, and then then the nominations are just out the window. But I'm taking The Matrix 4, a movie that the very first Matrix won the best visual effects Oscar, and then 2 and 3 didn't even get nominations. So I'm looking for a return to grace for the Matrix franchise, and I want to see Keanu's body do some crazy things with some crazy visual effects. So
that's a bold pick. We don't even have a trailer for it yet, right? And it's coming out.
It's supposed to come out in December. Yeah,
I bet it gets pushed.
It's been, but it was recently announced that it was coming out in December. So I think we might be good, but who knows?
I also bet it's terrible. Sorry,
yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared. No, I'm scared for that too. I was going to say that. But I'm also, as long as it's not a Paramount movie, I think they're maybe staying the course. They like just push back all their Paramount movies. So we're not getting any Top Gun Maverick anytime soon, guys.
I did see that. That is unfortunate.
Or Jackass Forever. I know you were excited to see that.
Yeah. Cody was really pumped for that. So.
I was not.
The big Steve-O guy, Johnny Knoxville.
He's like, Jackass got pushed back. I was like, cool, I don't care.
Because we were joking about if we were going to put it on our list, but whatever. Fine. I'll move on to best editing. Again, a movie we have talked about previously. This is where I put The Green Knight. To me, I think the editing of this, I struggled with this category specifically because when good editing happens, you don't like notice it as much, but then when there's bad editing, you can really notice it. I think The Green Knight uses its editing as a specific storytelling tool, specifically the way the movie ends. There's some moments earlier on where like things are intentionally done in the edit that changes the way the story is told and has a great impact. So I think that's why The Green Knight potentially has a shot here in best editing.
Good pick. Good pick.
Solid.
I went for The French Dispatch on the movie we have talked about. Sort of like you said, this sort of just seems to be a random category for the Academy. My thought process is it gives it to good movies who don't win major awards. So I'm saying that Wes Anderson won't take home Best Director. They won't have any major acting noms win, but they'll give him Best Editing. So I'm throwing The French Dispatch in this category.
Love it. For Best Editing, this was honestly kind of a throwaway category for me, and I hate to admit it. But it's also a movie we've talked about, and it's House of Gucci. And
interesting.
Honestly, I saw the House of Gucci trailer, and I'm a little scared about it. First of all, I don't know if Lady Gaga knows what accent she is doing in this trailer. And she's like Italian American, so I don't know why she's doing a Russian accent. But I don't know. It kind of made me push back from like all of the prestigious like acting and picture awards. So I was just like, you know what? Let's go editing. There's a lot of characters in the movie. We have to cut to them a lot. So let's do that. So I threw House of Gucci right here because I wasn't confident anywhere else. I'm not confident in this either. So I'm writing this one off. Sorry, House of Gucci.
I think that's probably smart, not putting it up in one of the major categories because it is a question mark.
I just don't have confidence, but I love Ridley Scott and I love Adam Driver. So what can you do? Okay, then. Best original score.
Yep.
Very nice. Here is where I've decided to put Dune.
Smart.
I decided Hans Zimmer is my boy. Jackson and I literally just recorded a podcast on The Dark Knight yesterday, so I was in my bag over there talking about Hans Zimmer. I love the guy. I think his music is revolutionary and sick. And then I always forget that he did the score to The Lion King. That's sick. So yeah, Hans Zimmer for Dune. And I think that's going to get a nom and maybe he'll win. Who's to say?
That's a great choice. Yeah.
It's usually Hans Zimmer, if he's made a movie, usually, he scores a couple movies a year. Usually at least one of them probably gets a nomination. So
yeah, absolutely. If John Williams was on this list, I would have put him. He always gets nominated for whatever he does. So
there's no Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross this year. So
no, that's a steal. Always.
Very true. Yeah. This is sort of my shot in the dark out of all the shot in the darks of any category. I didn't go Dune because I thought it'd win special effects. So I had limited choices. So I went for something very different. Went for a film called Pinocchio, which is supposedly coming out this year. So being directed by George Miller, and it's a stop motion animation musical. And I wanted to bring the cast into it just to bring my argument up. It's got a banging cast. Tilda Swinton, Christopher Waltz, Ewan McGregor. It probably won't even be released this year, if I'm being brutally honest. Also, we probably won't even see the light of day for like the next 5 years. But if it does happen to come out, I think it will be nominated in this category. It should have great music. George Miller is obviously a great director. And cats like that, they can sing, they can do it all. They got great voices. So yeah, this is sort of the category I ran out on, and I'm throwing Pinocchio out there.
I love it.
Interesting pick, but we'll go for it. Yeah.
Sick. I looked it up and saw Ewan McGregor's playing Jiminy Cricket. So
I'm sold. Best picture. Come on.
So I wanted Dune to go somewhere else. Dune would have been my first pick here, but I decided, hey, is Hans Zimmer, scoring any other movies that come out this year just to see? And it turns out he's scoring No Time to Die. So I don't think he's gonna get a nomination here. I think he will for Dune, but if there's a shot, it's probably this. Between this and Pinocchio, who's to say, really?
Really.
So I went No Time to Die.
I think Pinocchio is going to be the godfather of our generation, is what it sounds like to me.
That's true. They probably shouldn't release it this year because we're not ready as a culture yet.
I'm not.
We've been proving ourselves. Moving on to best cinematography. Now we're really getting into the good stuff here. I chose a movie that you have both chosen at this point in The French Dispatch. Wes Anderson makes just very visually pleasing movies. Grand Budapest Hotel was nominated in this category. So it's just always pretty stuff to look at. Wes Anderson puts enough behind the camera to where it doesn't even really matter who's operating the camera because it's just going to be beautiful either way. So I think French Dispatch has a good shot in this category.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Obviously, just the symmetrical style of Wes. Always just lends very heavily to this category. I was between that and in my pick, which we have also talked about, in Eternals. I got confidence in Chloe Zhao, man. Like I said, she's got the big budget, but I think she actually has a very good chance for this category. Just from what I saw in the trailer, this might be just like the most interesting visually movie we've seen in the MCU. Obviously, we saw what she can do in Nomadland, and the budget to that compared to Eternals is obviously off the charts. I'm super jacked for this movie, and I'm putting her down for best cinematography. I don't know if it's the most obvious choice. Definitely another out there pick from me, but I think she could pull it out. So I'm going Chloe Zhao.
Could that be back-to-back cinematography wins for Chloe Zhao? I think she won last year.
Well, I hate to break. Well, I don't think she won. I think Mank won. But she was nominated.
Oh, did she?
Okay. She won. The thing about Nomadland is she was the director, cinematographer, and editor for that.
She did it all.
Eternals is a guy named Ben Davis doing the actual cinematography. But if Chloe Zhao is, directing, and she obviously has cinematography experience, she's gonna have a large role in the way this movie looks. I like the pick.
Thanks for calling me out, Corbin. Thank you.
I could call you out and tell you that Pinocchio is being directed by Guillermo del Toro, not George Miller. So.
Oh no!
I got those mixed up.
For 2.
Yeah, I have that on my notes. I said the wrong name. Oh,
You just, man, you had happy
Respect.
feet on the brain. Big
You
George
didn't
Miller
call me
guy.
out. You didn't call me out in real time, so it doesn't count. Guillermo,
True.
that's right, man. Come on.
Nice.
All right, throw it over to Carter. I'll
All
stop
right.
embarrassing myself. Yeah.
No, I was gonna keep going. All right, cinematography. Here's one we haven't talked about yet.
Ooh.
I went here, The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Mm.
And let me tell you why. As you said, Mank won cinematography last year. The
Correct,
Academy
yes.
loves black and white movies. Like they're suckers for it. They can never get enough of it. You put a movie not in color, automatic nomination. They're very not interesting in that way. So I think this is going to be sick too. I mean, it's the Coen brothers, it's Denzel, it's Francis McDormand, and it's a Shakespeare. That seems like the most like paint by numbers Academy nomination you could get. So I think cinematography here for Tragedy of Macbeth. And I had this movie in a bunch of different spots, and it finally landed here. So, booyah! Big tragedy.
Yeah, this movie's definitely gonna show up for me later. Yeah, I like that pick.
Foreshadow.
A24 film. So shout out A24.
Let's go.
Now we're gonna do best animated. So what do you got, Carter?
Best animated was a movie I saw really early in the year, and it was like a shock to me when I saw it, how good this movie was. It's The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Is that a burnt orange 1993 station wagon? Or is it... Who are these unstoppable warriors?
We're the Mitchells, the only people who can save the world. I'm super sorry, everyone.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Katie. I'm sort of a weirdo. My parents haven't figured me out yet. To be fair, it took me a while to figure myself out. My brother, also weird.
Hi, would you like to talk to me about dinosaurs? No. Okay, thank you.
And my mom.
Katie face cupcakes.
All of us, really.
How about we put our phones down and we can make 10 seconds of unobstructed family eye contact. Starting now.
Easily.
This movie is sick. I mean, I can't say enough about it. It's on Netflix. I think this is going to be Netflix's obligatory win this year, unless they get Best Picture. There's some good contenders this year. But I think Mitchells vs. Machines is going to win it. I haven't seen any of the new Disney or Pixar things coming this year. But I thought Mitchells vs. the Machines was like, I don't know, the animation style was amazing. The story was amazing. It was funny. It was heartfelt. And yeah, it was sick. So the Mitchells vs. the Machines, best animated feature.
Respect. I have not seen that movie, honestly. I feel like if I have, I'd probably pick it as well. There's not a ton of options in this category, honestly. Sort of, you have the Disney options, Raya and the Last Dragon, Luca, which is actually going to be my pick. I have seen Luca. It wasn't the best Pixar movie, I don't think, but it did have an emotional impact on a lot of people. And I think just Pixar has the track record so far where maybe just because it's a Pixar movie, they'll pick it over Mitchells versus the Machines, excuse me. So yeah, I'm going with Luca. It's the one I have seen. But yeah, I do want to check out Mitchells versus Machines. Yeah, I'm going with Luca.
Solid. You mean calamari by your name, as it's also referred to?
Yeah, I like that. Corbito,
Nice.
which one? You picking one of these two, or are you going somewhere else?
I'm taking Mitchell's versus Machines.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a shoe in to win. Personally, it's like my fifth favorite movie of the year. I think it's like Carter's top 5 as well.
Oh yeah, it's up there.
You know, produced by the same people who did Into the Spider-Verse, very similar animation style. Just like really good. Eric Andre plays the villain, I'm pretty sure. So that's fun. But yeah, animated, this was kind of an easy, not a ton of great animated movies, but doesn't overlap with any other category. So kind of easy to pick something here. Now we're moving on to best screenplay. So for this, I picked this is probably my most anticipated film of the year, in Don't Look Up from Adam McKay, written and directed by Adam McKay, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, etc., Kate Blanchett. It continues on, starring everyone.
Cast, yeah.
I think there's a chance that this movie is like probably also really bad, but I have the utmost faith that it's going to be very, very good, and I'm very excited about it. I'm a Leo stan. I'll see anything that he's in, and I think I went screenplay here because honestly, I struggled with a little bit like what even is an original screenplay and what's adapted. You got to like worry about that. And I knew this was an original story. Adam McKay writes really well, so I took it here.
Respect that pick.
Good pick. Yeah, the thing about this category is I feel like we just know nothing about any of them because they're all, in theory, original ideas that haven't come out yet. So yeah, I went a different direction. I went for Last Night in Soho, obviously directed by Edgar Wright, Anya Taylor-Joy, starring. I looked at the synopsis a little bit, and it says it's a horror thriller about a woman in fashion. So I thought that was interesting. It looks weird and sort of right up Edgar Wright's alley. I have also heard a little bit buzz to where I do know when this movie is coming out. So yeah, I put it in this category sort of just because I don't know much about anything else. Anya Taylor-Joy will probably get nominated, but I played it safe and just threw this in original screenplay.
Well, also with that is I saw because I did a little bit of looking at who might be nominated, and some places were saying that she's a supporting actress, which I didn't really understand. Some people had her as lead actress.
Oh, really?
So I stayed away from it there because I just didn't know.
The trailer makes it confusing.
It seems yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
I do have that later on. Spoiler alert, but not in an actress category.
It's hard to place Anya Taylor-Joy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, her eyes get. Never mind. Carter, what is your pick here for best original screenplay?
Well, Korbin, great minds think alike. I went Don't Look Up.
Oh my goodness.
Listen, Adam McKay is we teamed up against you here. Adam McKay has won a screenplay award for Big Short. That was adapted. So I think he's good at writing screenplays. I think every movie he's made since has been nominated for screenplay. He got nominated for Vice as well. So I think that Don't Look Up here is a pretty solid pick. And I need to mention that Matthew Perry is also in this film. That is all.
Is he? Wow. If Absolutely. I knew that, I would have picked it. Wow.
I'm on a big Friends binge right now. So shout out to Matthew Perry. All right. And best adapted screenplay. I had to do a little bit of research on this one because like you said, Korbin, the screenplays are, I don't know anything about them until they come out really. So it was hard to pick one. So I went with a movie called The Humans here. And I went with this because it's a movie based on a play. So I think that's also kind of a paint by numbers thing that the Oscars usually do. They're like, oh, a play that's now a movie, 6 screenplay probably. So they throw that in there. This movie stars Beanie Feldstein, Stephen Yeun, and Richard Jenkins. And it's they're all sitting together at Thanksgiving or something. And it's one of those one night things where the dialogue's just flying off the walls. So I put it here. And I know nothing about this movie. I hadn't heard of it until I started researching screenplays. So I'm amped for it because I love Stephen Yeun and I love Beanie Feldstein. Shout out Beanie Feldstein, who is playing Monica Lewinsky in this American Crime Story Bill Clinton thing. So I'm excited for that too. So The Humans here for best original screenplay or adapted screenplay.
Yeah, I'd never heard of this movie, and its Wikipedia page is very sparse, so there's not much.
Yeah,
not much information, right. But A24 film as well. So we'll be on the lookout for it. I like Beanie. I know Kody really loves Booksmart, so and I'm a huge Lady Bird fan.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely
big Beanie Feldstein guy. So yeah, good pick. Anything with her in it should be decent. Yeah. I went for West Side Story for this category. This is another just short sort of shot in the dark for me. Obviously, it's remaking a classic, and Spielberg's at the helm, and I think he's due for a critical hit. He really hasn't had anything too crazy, nothing compared to his more earlier work, E.T., all that stuff. Yeah, I think he's due, and this is definitely a good material for him. Obviously, remaking one of the better movies of all time, I would say. Yeah, I think he's due to make a banger, so I'm going for this. Also, I do want to point out that Korbin and Carter have picked the same movie for the past 2 categories. So if they do it again here, it's just collusion altogether. So I did want to point that out. Yeah,
we really came after you here.
Well,
exactly.
I hadn't even heard of Carter's movie, so I did not pick it. I didn't know it existed until 5 minutes ago. This one, like I mentioned before, is tough because sometimes a movie comes out and you don't realize it's like considered adapted. Like Moonlight is an adapted screenplay. I went with another movie directed by Ridley Scott, but written by two former winners in the best screenplay category in Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. My movie is The Last Duel.
There is only one question that matters. Do you swear on your life that what you say is true?
Nice.
I feel like this movie might be like awful, like really, really, really bad. But you know what? I'll ride with Matt and Ben, just a couple
Always.
Boston boys writing movies together. So they went from Good Will Hunting to a movie about knights killing each other. I will say it seems like the trailer kind of gives away what happens in the movie. So I hope there's more to it than just what you see in the trailer. But it is adapted from real events, I think, or I don't know. I didn't do any research here, but it is adapted. And Last Duel, let's go. Ridley Scott and Adam Driver too. So throw him in there.
It's a winning combo.
All right, moving on to Best Director. We mentioned it last night in Soho. I'm taking Edgar Wright here.
When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown. When you've got troubles, all the noise and the hurry seems to help. I know downtown. Just listen to the music of the traffic in the city.
I think this is probably
nice.
Not as much of a shoo-in as maybe what your guys' picks will be. Edgar Wright, I think, is a great director, but I think he's going to be like he'll probably fall on the cusp of like whether or not he gets a nomination here, depending on how the movie turns out. But I wanted to put this movie in somewhere, and this is just kind of where it fell in for me. So I think Edgar Wright has a chance, but I wouldn't be surprised if he also didn't get a nomination.
I love that pick. I didn't do it myself, but I love it.
Same. Yeah, Edgar Wright's an interesting one. I went with another out of the box pick here. I went for a movie that has been released and I have actually seen. So yeah, I think I've seen 4 movies this year.
Black Widow?
No chance. I went for the director of Candyman, Nia DaCosta.
This is where it all began. The story of Candyman. Local character, he walk around handing out candy to the neighborhood kids. One day, a couple of kids get razor blades in their candy. Police come around. That's when I saw the true face of fear.
Get on your knees. Hands, hands, hands.
They beat him, tortured him, killed him, right there on the spot. A couple weeks later, more razor blades and more candy. He been innocent.
So he's real?
Candyman ain't a he. Candyman's the whole damn hive.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know you'd say
Candyman. This is another definitely an out there pick. I don't know if she'll get nominated. But I think she's got a pretty good chance. I think this movie, I think it has been released early, which is obviously something against it. I think it'll hold strong into Oscar season. It had a good opening, one of the strongest for, I believe, female directors. Yeah, Nia DaCosta, I think just her vision for the movie was perfect. I think she could be sort of the surprise pick of the Oscars. It is also like her second movie, I think. It could be her third. But yeah, it was a super strong showing from her, and I was very surprised. Also, I did want to throw out, she's directing the Captain Marvel sequel, which I'm pumped for after seeing Candyman. So yeah, I'm going Nia DaCosta. Definitely, I think not an obvious pick. Maybe she won't even get nominated, but I think she had just great direction in that movie. So yeah, I'm going Candyman.
All right, so we picked 2 horror films. So Carter, what are you taking Halloween Kills here?
Oh gosh, no. I am going with. By the way, Candyman, sick, like awesome. Best director here. I think my guy is due. I'm going with Paul Thomas Anderson for Untitled movie.
Yeah. Soggy Bottom.
Soggy Bottom right now is the production title. So I hope it stays because that's sick. I think it's time. My guy is due. He's been nominated like 1,000 times, never won. And I don't want him to become the Glenn Close of directors. So I want him to get a nom here and maybe win. This movie also, it could be bad. I don't know, but I don't think he's ever made a bad movie. I haven't seen a bad Paul Thomas Anderson movie. And Bradley Cooper in the 70s, like being like a child actor, that's sick. I'm all in. Done. You sold me.
PTA's due, I think. Yeah,
I think so. I hope it's here. I hope he just gets something this year. So then best supporting actor, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I went for, once again, a movie I hadn't heard of until I started doing a little research, because it's at all these film festivals and whatnot. I went with Jason Isaacs, Lucius Malfoy himself, in a movie called Mass. And it's about there's like this tragic shooting of someone gets shot. Don't know who gets shot, but there's a tragic shooting, and the parents of both the victim and the shooter like meet face to face. And I just looked at the poster, and it's like Jason Isaacs crying. So I'm like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, you got me. So this feels like a Manchester by the Sea pick for me, because I think it's gonna be really sad. And let's just nominate some really sad performances. So Jason Isaacs, Lucius Malfoy, let's get it.
Yeah, that sounds like a super interesting premise. Yeah, just cherry picking the best actor from that movie. I like that. Good choice. Yeah, for best supporting actor, I went for one of my favorite actors working today. He's also from sort of my hometown. Went for Adam Driver from Mishawaka, Indiana, which I'm sort of from.
Shout out.
In The Last Duel, which Corbin did mention, it could be very, very bad. The wigs on Damon and Affleck just don't look good off the bat.
I like the blonde and the beards.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going for the guy in the trailer who doesn't have a wig. He was wearing a helmet in the trailers.
He might have a wig.
He might, but we haven't seen it yet. Also, I just think he's one of the best actors working today. And yeah, a script written by Matt and Ben should be decent enough for him. Looks like he's got a good role. Yeah, just a big fan of the guy. Adam Driver for best supporting actor.
Solid.
All right. My pick, I struggled. These two, the supporting and supporting act categories, I really struggled with, because especially when you haven't seen a movie, it's a complete shot in the dark. So I decided to go with a movie I have seen in No Sudden Move from Steven Soderbergh, and I'm taking Benicio del Toro for best supporting actor. I don't think his performance is necessarily the greatest thing I've ever seen, but he's a decently well-respected actor, does play a supporting role in the film and in a Soderbergh film. So I could see him maybe getting a nod here.
Hell yeah. He won in that category like 20 years ago for a Soderbergh film. So how about it?
It's the return.
Love it.
Moving on to best supporting actress. I was completely lost here. Googling left and right, trying to find something. Found a movie that I hadn't heard of that I'm now kind of interested in The Power of the Dog with Kirsten Dunst. It's got Benedict Cumberbatch in it as well.
Yeah.
It's got, I'll read you the Wikipedia synopsis. In early
Kirsten
20th
Dunst
century.
you're picking?
Yes. We've bashed her on the show in the past.
Oh no.
But for her performance in Spider-Man. But
wow.
The thing is, when I Googled this category, she was at the top of the list. So
that's solid.
But this takes place in 20th century Montana. A sadistic ranch owner launches a campaign against a young widow when she unexpectedly marries his brother and comes to live on the ranch. I'm guessing she's the young widow. So the movie also has Jesse Plemons in it. So sounds like some dubs all around. And a Netflix
film. Jesse Plemons. We love Jesse
Absolutely.
Plemons.
Big Plemons guy.
Huge.
That's an interesting pick. Yeah, Kirsten Dunst. I'm sure she's gotten better over the years, but yeah, the last couple things I've seen her in have been a little sus, as they would say. I also agree with Corbin here. This is probably the most difficult category for me. I went for the thing is, I singled out this movie called Nightmare Alley, which is directed by Guillermo del Toro. I think that's why I got confused. That's why I got confused with Pinocchio. He's directing two movies and coming out in the same week, basically. But yeah, this movie has a great cast. Bradley Cooper, Willem Dafoe are the two leads. I believe they're going to be the main center of the story. So I'm going with the first billing female, which is Cate Blanchett. There is also Rooney Mara and Toni Collette in there. So if they get noms for Best Supporting Actor, I'm just going to claim that my own as well. Yeah, obviously
Nice.
Kate Blanchett is definitely the best actress in this movie by far. Del Toro makes pretty good Oscar bait, i.e., Shape of Water. So yeah, I think Kate Blanchett, she just got the track record, man. You can't go wrong with her. And if she isn't a supporting role, I think she'll snag this category pretty quickly. So yeah, Nightmare Alley. I don't know a ton about it. Looks like a thriller. So yeah, interesting movie. But Kate Blanchett is my pick.
I got a question.
nice.
I
Go
did,
for it.
she was potentially getting some. Kate Blanchett was also getting some looks for Don't Look Up, maybe. So if she gets nominated,
There you go.
do we count it still? I don't know.
I'll
We'll have
claim
to.
that as my own too.
If
Yeah.
it comes down to a
Anything
point,
Kate
it might be the
Blanchett.
tiebreaker.
Oh, I'm not even in this running, but sure, yeah.
Who knows, man?
It's true.
This could
Weird
go
year.
any direction. We haven't
Weird
seen
year.
these movies, so we're basing them
You're not
on
wrong.
trailers and set photos and names.
Sweet. Okay, best supporting actress for me. It's a movie that Kody talked about earlier. I'm going Marlee Matlin for Coda.
You're the girl with the deaf family?
I just want to tell you right now.
And you sing. Interesting.
Which is, as you said, child of deaf adult. Marlee Matlin is deaf. She has won an Oscar for playing a deaf woman in a movie. So I think we're going to throw a nomination her way. She's not going to win, but I think it's going to be a powerful performance. And because the Academy is probably like, you know what? She won already. We're good. We did our due. We did our piece. But they'll throw her a courtesy nom. They do that all the time. Shout out Glenn Close for Hillbilly Elegy. Yikes.
Hey,
So, yeah.
Glenn Close is going to keep trying.
Yeah.
And so will Amy Adams. Both of them. They're just going to keep trying.
That's all that matters. Shout out
Amy
the woman
Adams
in the window.
deserves one.
Well, Woman in the Window is going to come up very shortly. So,
good. That's exciting. So am I doing both of my picks for best actor now?
Well, actually, before we move on, we're going to take a short commercial break.
Nice.
And we're back. And Carter's going to give us both of his picks for best actor.
Exciting. My first one, I'm going to say, since we've mentioned it already, from The Power of the Dog, my guy Benedict Cumberbatch is getting some buzz, boys. And I'm really excited. He plays that menacing guy you mentioned earlier. And I'm all in for a Western with Benedict Cumberbatch, maybe doing a Western accent, which is fun for a British guy to do a Western accent. So amped for that for my guy, Benny. And then I think the obvious pick here is Will Smith for King Richard.
What's going on? Everybody okay?
They got a call, said there was trouble in the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You all need to look around.
It's a little wet for practice, don't you think? Don't the girls have schoolwork to do?
They do their homework. Tundi's first in her class. Lynn and Isha are too.
Now, I don't even mind you saying we hard on these kids. You know why? Because we are. That's our job, to keep them off these streets.
After seeing the trailer and seeing Will Smith back in his bag, give Will Smith an Oscar. I'm starting the campaign now. Get him his Oscar. He should have got it for Aladdin, clearly. No. But he was the best part of Aladdin. Yeah, Will Smith, King Richard. I'm excited for that. He plays Venus and Serena Williams' father, and the trailer looks sick, and I'm all in. So those are my two.
The trailer does
feels,
look sick for that movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Corbin.
It definitely feels like this is his time.
I think so.
And he's definitely, at least in a role that he's trying really hard to get an Oscar nomination. It's a very Oscar baity role. I know that could be a negative term, but in this case, it's probably a positive as well. Kody, what are your two picks?
Just first thoughts on Carter's. I do like those picks. I think Cumberbatch actually has a really good chance to win it this year. I think he is also one of those people who's like due. I didn't pick him. I think Will Smith is an out there one, but I have an out there one too, so I'm not going to talk crap. My first one, which I think has a really, really good chance, is Denzel for The Tragedy of Macbeth.
Nice.
It has already come up. Yeah, you talked about it. The black and white. It's directed by Coen brother. It's got Frances McDormand as well. I mean, if this isn't the most Oscar bait movie I've ever seen, I don't know what
crazy.
it is. Yeah, but I think Denzel, he's definitely one of the best actors working today. You put him in this environment, surrounded by other great actors and a great director. I think he's got a very good chance. My other pick is a little bit out there. It's Oscar Isaac for The Card Counter. Now, everything that I've seen for this movie, it seemed a little bit cheesy, a little bit out there. But it is also Oscar bait. And Oscar Isaac, I think, is one of the better, up and coming, just more serious actors of today. Obviously, started more in like comic movies. I think his best role by far so far has been Ex Machina. And this looks like another role that he can just dive into. We'll see if he's a good gambler in the movie. So yeah, I went for this. Maybe a little bit of a bolder pick, but I just like Oscar Isaac, and I think he's due for another nomination. Yeah, so those are my picks. Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. I think the Oscar Isaac one should. I'm interested to see that movie. I like him a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing him in Moon Knight as well, and in Dune. I feel kind of like a loser here because both of my picks have already been said.
You suck.
So taking from Carter, I also think Will Smith will get an Oscar nod with King Richard.
Wow.
I think Kody, you don't realize that this is the time. I almost feel like this is a guarantee, even if the performance isn't that great.
He's been through so much. Entanglements, man. Get him a nom.
Who would have thought the guy from Gemini Man was going to be best actor? But not me.
After Earth? Come on.
Oh, don't even bring up that movie. Come on.
And then my other pick, mentioned by Kody, Tragedy of Macbeth, Denzel Washington. Denzel is an amazing actor. He doesn't have as many misses as Will Smith does, but still think he's going to get a nom here. Although, to be fair, considering it's the Oscars, me picking two black men, maybe not the smartest thing considering the Oscars track record, but
true.
Unfortunately,
we saw some progress last year a little bit.
That is true.
He had Riz and Chadwick, so we'll see.
Who knows? And we'll go back to Carter for his two best actress picks here.
Oh, exciting. Okay, my two best actress picks. One I've seen the trailer. My first is Jennifer Hudson for Respect. She plays Aretha Franklin. She does all the singing. Oscars love when actors actually sing, and also even when they don't actually sing. Shout out Rami Malek for putting teeth in and dressing like Freddie Mercury. And then, so I think that's a nom. And then my second one, like right now, seems to be the favorite in a lot of these races, which is shocking to me, but I put it anyway. I went Kristen Stewart for Spencer, playing Princess Diana. The trailer just came out. We don't hear her talk at all, except a little bit at the end. So we don't know if she's pulling off the accent.
Probably for the best.
Who knows? We'll see. But yeah, those are my two picks. I who would have thought, like you said, the guy from Gemini Man winning an Oscar? Who would have thought the girl from Twilight would maybe win an Oscar? So
that is true. That's probably even a more out there movie than Gemini Man. Yeah, I do actually agree with your first pick there. I think Jennifer Hudson is a shoo-in to be nominated. Sort of a biographical drama around Aretha Franklin. And like you said, she's singing and she's an amazing singer. I did see the trailer as well. Looks super powerful. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. My second nomination is a little bit out there. I don't even know if I believe in this, but I am going to pick it. I went with Lady Gaga for House of Gucci.
Oh, good.
Father, Son, and House of Gucci.
Can you keep a secret?
Father, Son, and House of Gucci.
I was close to doing this.
Yeah, I think her accent is atrocious in the trailer. But I do think she'll get nominated just because it's Lady Gaga and she's in sort of an art house movie. Obviously, she's nominated for A Star Is Born, and she's all right in that. And she's probably better in House of Gucci. So I'm gonna hype her up. Try to get her nominated. I'm sure Korbin will as well. He was hyping her up earlier in the year when he saw this trailer.
I was trying to pull up the messages actually as you talk. Here we go.
Oh, you have the messages? I think I said she looks terrible or something. Yeah.
You just said ha 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 Lady Gaga, and then I said she's a good actress, and you sent a clown emoji.
I stand by that, but I do think she's still going to be nominated. So yeah, those are my picks for best actress. Maybe bad pick, Lady Gaga, but I'm going to stick by it.
I love it. I respect it.
Thank you. Corbin, did you also pick Jennifer Hudson or no?
Well, what's your pick number 2?
Lady Gaga. Jennifer
And
Hudson.
Jay
Oh, you
Hud.
picked Jennifer Hudson. I didn't know.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't
I'm
really.
sorry.
I just thought you said it was a good pick.
I didn't specify that. No, I definitely picked Jennifer Hudson.
I also picked Jennifer Hudson.
There you go.
Nice.
We've said it now twice, but the Oscars love when people play people like Judy Garland, Rami Malek playing Freddie Mercury, like those kind of roles. I mean, even Will Smith playing, Venus and Serena's father. Any prominent figure that is a real person that people know about, they're just gonna eat that shit up. So my second pick here is finally where West Side Story comes in for me. I'm taking Rachel Ziegler. I think this movie is probably going to get a lot of nominations, even though I don't know. Like the original is so good and so beloved,
iconic.
But you got Steven Spielberg behind the helm. You kind of have to trust that it's going to be at least decent. Ansel Elgort in the lead is a little icy,
problematic.
Don't love that, but
Baby Driver.
He's a fine actor sometimes, but he's also maybe not the best person. I don't know. Cody hates when I do this, when I call people out, but
wow.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There we go.
Come on. Man.
It's a little his past is questionable.
Checkered.
That's all we'll say at this time. And I'm taking Rachel here for West Side Story.
Love her.
Alrighty, so now is the big moment, the one that really matters at the end of the night. Best Picture. We've got 2 picks each here. How about we'll do one and we'll go around the room. So Carter, you can get started.
Love it.
What is your first Best Picture nominee?
My first Best Picture nominee is Nightmare Alley, which has a lot of buzz. Like, it's a Guillermo movie. It's got we already talked about the cast. But I just have the synopsis of the story here and I want to read it to you. It's one sentence and it's an ambitious young carny, absolutely already in, with a talent for manipulating people with a few well-chosen words, hooks up with a female psychiatrist who is even more dangerous than he is. What's going on there?
What a log line. That's intense.
I know. So this is getting a lot of buzz. I think Guillermo is a big part of it. And I think the cast is a big part of it. We've seen the Shape of Water phase. I think this will happen again. So I'm here for a Nightmare Alley, which, by the way, is not a movie I'd heard of until this week also. So good stuff.
Same. From the synopsis there, it sounded like it was a Joker origin story.
Dude, the Academy loves Joker.
That's true.
A carny who manipulates people, that he falls in love with a psychologist, Harley Quinn. That's
yes, it is basically. It's basically Suicide Squad.
I like that pick though. I also went for a movie that has been mentioned already by Carter. I went for Spencer.
They know everything. They don't.
Seems to be historical, biographical, psychological drama directed by Pablo Larraín. I don't know a ton about, but obviously it stars Kristen Stewart. It's Princess Diana. She looks great, honestly. The trailer looked good. I think if this movie is just any sort of decent, it'll get the nom, just because of its material. Also, this director, his sort of specialty is biopics. He did Jackie back in 2016. I think he'll do this iconic, person and character justice. So I'm going Spencer with my first pick.
Nice.
Kristen Stewart guy.
Hey,
huge.
I just watched all the Twilight movies, so I can attest that she's really good. So
you know her work well. Yeah,
she's really good at playing super horny in the Breaking Dawn Part 1. So I don't know if those skills.
Well to this movie, yeah.
Wow, calling out Princess Diana like that. Interesting. My 2 movies have both been talked about. I'm gonna get the big one right off the bat here in Dune.
Wow.
It could go in a lot of different categories. I wanted to save it for the big one. It is a big science fiction epic. Sometimes those don't necessarily get Oscar recognition in the big categories like Best Picture. But I think with Denis at the helm, this is a movie that is the source material is considered like one of the greatest science fiction works of all time. It's been made into a movie in the past. not to much luck, but it's been always talked about as how difficult it'll be able to be made. So if he's able to accomplish and like fully capture what the story is, I really think he's got a great shot. I mean, he's a great writer, director. You also have people like Zendaya, Timothy Chalamet, Dave Bautista, Oscar Isaac, Thanos. Like the whole thing is going to be intense. So yeah, that's my first pick. We'll go back to Carter. What's your second pick for Best Picture?
My second pick is West Side Story.
There's a place for us somewhere, a place for us.
Don't think it'll win. Might not even get nominated, but I tried to get in the Academy's
the original one, right?
Original one, yeah, back in the 60s. Back when like the Academies in the 60s like just gave the musical Best Picture like every single year. They had like Sound of Music and Oliver and My Fair Lady, all of it. So for Best Picture here, I thought Nightmare Alley is the quirky, like, oh, look what we did pick for the Academy. And then West Side Story is like the, hey, here's a musical category that we loved, but they don't win anymore. And I think they love Steven Spielberg. And I think that I do think I almost put West Side in cinematography. So I think it's going to be a gorgeous movie. If it'll work, I don't know. I'm getting nervous about it. I always get nervous about these things when they get closer, but I think the trailer is dope. The shadows and everything are sick. So West Side Story is my final Best Picture pick.
I like
Very
it.
Nice.
Spielberg's due. My second Best Picture pick is actually a movie we haven't talked about at all. So that makes me a little bit nervous. It's called Being the Ricardos. It's directed by Aaron Sorkin, which I like a lot. And it stars Nicole Kidman as Lucille Ball, obviously of I Love Lucy fame. Also has Javier Bardem and J.K. Simmons in it. So great cast. And then you pair that with an interesting story about, obviously the whole I Love Lucy era. Obviously, Aaron Sorkin, his snappy dialogue, I think will work perfectly for this movie. And it's another just interesting female icon that I don't think we've touched in media. So yeah, I am a little bit nervous that you guys haven't talked about it at all. Maybe it's just too under the radar. But Being the Ricardos is my second Best Picture pick.
Yeah, I almost picked it for Best Actress for Nicole Kidman, but
nice.
I leaned against it. It was just one of the few that I'd actually heard of before the fact, and I still didn't even pick it. So shame on me.
That makes me feel better that you've heard of it though. So
yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
for that.
My question is if this movie is going to come out this year.
That's the question for every movie.
Yeah, but
list,
this one says that they were still filming back in March of this year. So don't look up. I'm a little questionable about because
exactly. I didn't touch that movie. Yeah,
that's slated for like what, Christmas? Is that it's when it's supposed to come out? Don't Look Up.
I think so.
We've at least gotten a trailer for it, so I feel, or like
Makes
a first look.
Yeah.
So, but there is no release date, and Netflix usually has their release dates, out there pretty much. But
yikes!
All right. So I'll finish things up here with the final pick of our Oscar nominees. I'm taking working title Soggy Bottom from director Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Bradley Cooper. I think I've said this in the past. I'm not a huge PTA guy necessarily, but he makes like movies that are very technically impressive and like everyone seems to love, especially the Academy in general. So I think he'll get a Best Picture nomination here, assuming the movie isn't god awful, but assuming it comes out because it doesn't even have a real title. So
yeah, that was the most weird thing to me. So I obviously did look into that movie, but it doesn't even have a title and it comes out in a couple months. Yeah, obviously PTA is somebody who doesn't miss a lot. So I like that pick.
Yep. Alrighty. Now comes the part where I do a lot of reading and I go over our picks here. So
you're gonna read them all? Oh, that's gonna be a gauntlet.
I'll take a quick nap.
Yeah.
Let's see how fast I can do it. All right, bear with me here. Best makeup and hairstyling. Corbin said Cruella. Carter said The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Cody said Tick Tick Boom. Best production design. Corbin said The Eternals. Carter said The French Dispatch. Cody said The Green Knight. Best costume design. I said House of Gucci. Carter said Cruella. Cody said In the Heights, Best Sound. I said A Quiet Place Part 2. Carter said No Time to Die. Cody said Coda. Best Visual Effects. I said The Matrix 4. Carter said The Eternals. Cody said Dune. Best Editing. Korbin said The Green Knight. Carter said House of Gucci. Cody said The French Dispatch. Best Original Score. I said No Time to Die. No Time to Die. Carter said Dune. And Cody said Pinocchio. Best Cinematography. I said The French Dispatch. Carter said Tragedy of Macbeth. And Cody said The Eternals. For Best Animated, I said Mitchell's versus the Machines. Carter said Mitchell's versus the Machines. And Cody said Luca. For Best Screenplay, I said Don't Look Up from Adam McKay. Carter said Don't Look Up from Adam McKay. And Cody said The Last Night in Soho from Edgar Wright. Best Adapted Screenplay, I said The Last Duel. Carter said The Humans. Cody said West Side Story. For Best Director, I said Last Night in Soho from Edgar Wright. Carter said Soggy Bottom from PTA. And Cody said Candyman from Nia Da Costa. Best Supporting Actor, I said No Sudden Move, Benicio del Toro. Carter said Mass, Jason Isaacs. Cody said The Last Duel, Adam Driver. For Best Supporting Actress, Korbin said The Power of Dog, Kirsten Dunst. Carter said Coda from Marlee Matlin. And Cody said Nightmare Alley from Cate Blanchett. Best Actor, I picked King Richard with Will Smith and Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth. Carter chose Benedict Cumberbatch in The Power of the Dog and Will Smith in King Richard. Cody chose Denzel Washington in The Tragedy of Macbeth and Oscar Isaac in The Coward Counter. For Best Actress, I took Jennifer Hudson for Respect and Rachel Zegler for West Side Story. Carter also took Jennifer Hudson for Respect and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. Cody also took Jennifer Hudson for Respect and, with a shocking pick, Lady Gaga in House of Gucci. And in Best Picture, I took Dune and Soggy Bottom. Carter took Nightmare Alley and West Side Story. And Cody took Spencer and Being the Ricardos. Those are each of our 20 picks for Oscar nominees. Like I said, February 8th, 2022. February 8th, 2022, they will announce the official nominees, and we'll see who gets the most correct. This went faster than I expected, but I'd say all in all, it was a fun game. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it was a blast. The anticipation is going to kill me until February, but I can't wait to see Lady Gaga get nominated because I sneakily think she will. So good job, Cody.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was a really fun game. I wanted to throw out a competition. Which was the worst pick? Korbin picking The Matrix 4 or me picking Pinocchio and not knowing the director?
Absolutely Pinocchio.
I think it's Pinocchio.
You might be right, but I did want to say Matrix 4 is a terrible pick. Why would you ever pick that for an Oscar category? But yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Don't disrespect Keanu.
I was not disrespecting Keanu. I was just disrespecting the Matrix franchise. Yeah, this is a lot of fun, honestly, talking about movies that I don't know a ton about, but I did have a good time. So yeah, not a bad game, Korbin. I give you some props.
I mean, all in all, nice. I think the big thing here is like these are all movies that I'm at least kind of excited to see, and I'm looking forward to coming out. The ones that haven't. I figured what we normally do here at the end is we give some recommendations, talk about what we've been into. So first off, maybe if there's any movies that you didn't get a chance to mention that are going to come out, you can talk about. Carter, is there anything you're excited to see that we didn't mention here in the last hour?
We didn't mention, we kind of mentioned Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, but I'm amped for that coming this, I guess today. When does this come out?
This will be out on Tuesday, so it's
out.
The weekend has ended. Yeah, if you didn't see it,
I've seen it probably, and it's probably pretty good. I don't know.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, check that out. Check out Candyman. Candyman is sick. And yeah, if you're a fool like me, check out Oscar winners from 1971 if you want. Today I watched on the plane home from Dallas. I watched a 1971 3-hour movie about the fall of the Russian czars that was nominated for Best Picture. So check that out on Amazon Prime, but don't.
What's the title?
Nicholas and Alexandra, of course. I can't believe you don't know that off the top of your head.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Come on, Korbin.
I missed that year actually.
Yeah, that was a
If you
time.
would
Yeah, I
name
missed that
different-
Oscars year.
I wasn't, alive. Kody, any movies you're excited to see, or things you're into recently?
Yeah, I do have a lot of recommendations. We're going in recommendations, right? I don't have any other movies on the list here.
There's a big one that you guys haven't mentioned yet, but continue, Kody. Go ahead.
What? Spider-Man: Far From Home.
No Way Home.
But no,
you mean?
no, Far From Home. Far From Home sucks.
True.
Out of there. Bold take there. I don't like that movie. Yeah. Basically, my
You
recommendations
hate
for
Jake
this week.
Gyllenhaal.
No, I don't. Okay, that's a different argument. I've watched a lot of stuff recently, actually. So yeah, I finished Breaking Bad. Hallelujah to me.
Ooh.
Yeah, 40-minute episode. I'll tell you what. It takes a while to get through that. But yeah, the last season, I thought the first half a little dragged on a little bit. Second half's great. Hank, I think, is my favorite character now, just because of that last season. Also, Jesse Plemons is great. Just out of nowhere in season 5, he just shows up and is a psycho neo-Nazi. Yeah. So yeah, big fan of his work. Also, I rewatched Vice and Star Trek. Very different movies, but both movies I really like. I didn't pick Adam McKay's new movie actually coming out with Leo. I forget the title of it. I think he's due for a miss. Not gonna lie, so I didn't put that down. Full take there. Could be very wrong. Might win Best Picture. Yeah. Also, Star Trek is 2009, obviously one of the great sci-fi action movies of our generation. I think it's underrated. Don't laugh. I'm serious.
Cody's a Star Trek simp, dude.
Hey, yeah, that's fine. I'm a Star Wars simp, so.
Well, that movie basically is a Star Wars movie. Yeah. Also, I'm gonna watch Into Darkness soon. That movie's absolutely garbage. So check out my Letterboxd review for that, because I'm gonna be ripping it apart. But yeah, the final thing I did want to mention was the new What If. Talking about Doctor Strange going down a deep and dark path. I think it was probably the best one they've done so far, just from a character standpoint. Took it somewhere I didn't really expect, and it was super interesting. Also, lead into that, Carter's recent podcast, where they talk about Marvel recast, I was actually a big fan of, and I did want to talk about one recast you guys were talking about. James McAvoy as Loki might be the best casting of all time. And I need to see that immediately. I need to see that right now. I love that pick so much. I don't know why. It just works so well. Obviously, Split. He's
just
done
makes
some of the
sense.
great stuff. Yeah. But I did want to shout that out as well. You haven't seen Rough Cut Retrospective. That episode was one of my favorite ones you've done recently. So definitely check that out. Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Well, I guess here's the official plug. Carter, hit us with the socials. What do you got coming out? I hear you're doing a Dark Knight pod, maybe,
This is true.
I'm jacked for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do I owe you, Kody, for that quick plug there? No, Rough Cut Retrospective. You can follow us on Instagram at roughcut_pod. We post some fun graphics, and by we I mean Jackson McHuron runs.
Those
the
looked really
Instagram.
good. The MCU recast ones.
Yeah, he does all of that. So shout out to him. He is the graphic designer.
He's unemployed, so he's got a lot of free time.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. So yeah, check us out wherever you get our podcasts. We just recorded, which will be out Friday. When you're hearing this, it'll be out already. We recorded the Dark Knight retrospective, where I was just in my bag talking about the Dark Knight. Jackson finally let me do it. So shouts to him for letting me do that as well. And yeah, we do a bunch of fun stuff. We do MCU recasts. We talked about Robin Williams movies. We did A24 movies. We do it all. So check us out. If you like these guys, you'll like us
more.
Probably.
Yeah.
I also really enjoyed that MCU recast episode. It was probably one of my favorites that you guys have done.
Yeah, that was fun.
I think there was the good part is there's like a lot that I disagreed with as well, whereas like I'm sitting there and I'm like,
as did I.
Don't know what they're talking. Fair.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see, because you guys had to kind of make some compromises here and there, as a group of what's going to work and what isn't. But all in all, I think you guys did a pretty good job. And I like a good recast.
Appreciate it.
Going back to what we were talking about before, movies coming out. We didn't mention the Sopranos prequel movie, Many Saints of Newark. I almost took in the best adapted screenplay category, actually, because I think it, David Chase, classic, series. I was watching The Sopranos. Might have a shot there. Other things we haven't mentioned. Let's see.
He's All That.
He's All That, which I did just watch. And
don't get him started on that again.
Oh no.
I loved He's All That.
No, you didn't.
We just did a Chicken Little pod. Probably haven't listened to it, but I decided for my recast of that movie, I was going to put Addison Rae in it.
No. That seems to be the hot thing right now. Just got to do it.
Carter, we also have Dear Evan Hansen coming out. I'm sure you're excited about that.
I'm both excited. I'm excited and nervous about it. Because the music is sick. If you haven't heard it, I mean, it's the same people that did La La Land and The Greatest Showman. So it's just like pop music that's really catchy. But also, I don't know what is going on Ben Platt's head in this movie. Whatever animal they've put on his head is scary as a wig. But yeah, nepotism is sick, isn't it? We love it.
It really is. And then another movie that I think might get some Oscar nominations is Cry Macho. It's a Clint Eastwood directed and starring film, so I wouldn't be surprised if that gets some looks.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired of Clint Eastwood. He needs to hang it up. The Mule was an atrocious picture.
The Mule.
Hey, Richard Jewell's not bad. I saw some.
Richard
Jewell's solid.
Actually, I like that movie.
Wow, tough.
But yeah, I think Eastwood needs to hang it up. No offense to him or his fans. He's a good director. He's made a lot of good movies, but I think he's done. What is he, like 90 now?
Well, Clint Eastwood directed his first film in the year 2000 at the age of 70 years old, and he is now 21 years later still directing films. So
he's 90. I was bang on.
Right.
If you were Kody, if you were 90 and you could direct a movie where in the movie you have not one but two threesomes, would you not do that?
You're not wrong there. That is a good point. Respect Clint for the multiple threesomes, but everything else in that movie was terrible.
Speaking of sexual desires, another movie that's already out. We've talked about it in the pod in the past. Annette. In which Adam Driver performs some intercourse with his mouth.
I'll say it for you. Cunnilingus.
And sing.
Yeah, and he's singing during it.
Yeah,
it's wild stuff.
I have not checked. I'm gonna check that out. But Adam Driver, 3 movies this year. Good.
He's working, man.
All righty. I think that is all we've got. If anybody else has anything else they want to shout out, or before we close things up,
shout out Korbin. Great game, man. Great game.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely.
Cody, you gotta start pulling your weight. Come up with a game or something.
All right, I'll rack my brain. Next week I'll talk about.
Actually, speaking of Cody, you got next week's pick. Do you know what movie you're taking?
Oh, this is exciting.
What are we doing next week?
I was between two. The Prestige, which somehow we have not done on this podcast. I think it's my
not
top
available
3
anywhere.
Favorite movies. That is true. But you know what? I think we're on a fun trail here. We did Chicken Little last week. I want to continue that fun trail, and I'm doing National Treasure, which is another one I've wanted to do for a while. Nicolas Cage classic. Yeah, just a movie I've seen a ton in my childhood. So I think I'm going with that.
All right, awesome. So check that out. National Treasure, a week from now. Another Disney Plus pick. As always, you can follow us at KHAP Podcast, KHAPODCAST everywhere. Also, check out the Rough Cut Retrospective at roughcut_pod for all your slightly worse podcasting needs.
There it is. I love this not so friendly rivalry we got going on.
And maybe you guys will have Kody on sometime, and I don't know, talk about the things that do a Star Trek episode.
Talk about Survivor.
That's true. Jackson's been watching Survivor, hasn't he? He's been really into it.
Yeah. Every once in a while, he's like, "Hey, I watched a bunch of Survivor this week." I was like, oh, "Okay, cool."
Sick.
Respect.
Yeah, Kody, we'll bring you on. That's got to complete the cycle, right? Then we've all been everywhere.
Yep, and then we can never speak to each other again.
Yeah, then I'll never talk to you again. Good stuff.
Respect.
All right, guys. Been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks
for listening.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. Adios.